Welcome to Sports Talk.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Nick.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Jackson.
From Top Notch Sports. Today, we're going over the Cincinnati Bengals off-season salary review. So, again, the Cincinnati Bengals are coming off of a season where their franchise rookie young quarterback stud Joe Burrow went down with a terrible knee injury. And again, is very unfortunate. I love that guy, great player on and off the field, excellent talent. But losing him last year really hurts, and let's hope he's back in time. But again, that means that this team under Zac Taylor needs to establish an offensive line, and we're going to go over their salary cap situation this season and moves that we feel like they should make that are realistic moves. So let's hop right in. I'll let Jackson explain the first slide. Jackson, explain what this means.
Thank you, Nick. And first, I want to point out this team's got $34.9 million to spend in the cap. No, not the best, but not the worst. Not the worst at all. And again, this team's got a lot of pieces that I want to point out. T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow. When Joe Mixon's healthy, he's a great running back. Jesse Bates on the defensive side of the ball. DJ Reader. This team's got the pieces to build around. It's just what if they are going to do it. And again, I also want to point out, remember, red is you cut and you lose. Green, you're cutting and you're gaining salary.
Absolutely. So again, for example, if you were to cut CJ Uzomah, you would save $5.25 million. So again, look at this sheet, figure out who you might want to cut, who you would keep. Some of these guys that are on this list, again, you might want to get rid of. I mean, a lot of these guys, they take up a lot of money, and are they a huge piece on this team? So in the next slide, we're going to break that down after we do Mike's slide of the notable losses. Mike, go ahead. Let's read off the notable losses.
So they got a few notable losses here. First, I'd like to thank Noah, the Hammer Thompson, for figuring out these numbers. He's our numbers guy. He does a great job. So Noah, thanks again, buddy. All right, so first they're going to lose longtime Bengal wide receiver A.J. Green. His expected contract is a 1-year, $6 million deal. He played 76.2% of the snaps, and I'd say he really underperformed this year. And then they're going to lose Mackenzie Alexander, cornerback, 2 years, $6 million is the expected deal. He plays 60.6% of the snaps. This is a big one here. Cornerback William Jackson III. His expected deal is a 2-year, $12.5 million deal. He played 83.7% of the snaps. He's been a big part of this Bengals defense for the last couple of years. And then we got LeSean Sims, cornerback. He's going to get a 2-year, $3.8 million deal. He played 57.1% of the Bengals defensive snaps. Linebacker Josh Bynes, who's another important piece to this team. He's expected to get a 1-year, $1.8 million deal. And he played 71.7% of the defensive snaps this season. Then we got defensive end Christian Covington. Expected deal is a 1-year, $1.5 million deal. He played 52.6% of the snaps. Then we got left guard Quentin Spain. He's expected a 1-year, $1 million deal, and he played 66.8% of the snaps this year. Then we got right guard Alex Redmond. His expected deal is a 1-year, $1 million deal, and he played 41.6% of the snaps for this team this year. Then we got another important piece, edge Carl Lawson. His expected deal is a 1-year, $9 million deal, and he played 68.3% of the snaps. And then last but not least, punter Kevin Huber and kicker Randy Bullock. They're both expected to come back on 2-year deals, one being $5.5 million and one being $4 million. And then Huber played 30.9% of the snaps, and Bullock played 24.0% of the snaps for the Bengals this season. Nick, back to you.
Thank you, Mike. And again, when you look at this team, again, the notable losses, typically you want to bring back the guys that play a good amount of the snaps, because these are guys that were really solid pieces, or at least had a good role on the team last season. And don't be surprised if on the next slide, we have a few of these names coming back to the Cincinnati Bengals. So let me take it away on the potential targets list. Here you go. You got the estimated cap space. Again, Jackson mentioned before, $34.9 million. Estimated cuts, we say CJ Uzomah, you save $5.25 million, and Geno Atkins for $9.6 million. If you do that, you now have a cap space of $49.75 million rather than your $34.9 million, which is going to free up a good amount of cap space that's going to allow you to sign some of these bigger names below to help your franchise quarterback in Joe Burrow. Again, let's go over estimated signings. First one you want to see is William Jackson on a 2-year, $12.5 million deal. Again, most of these are re-signing, so William Jackson's a re-sign. Mackenzie Alexander's another re-sign, 2-year, $6 million. Josh Bynes, 1-year, $1.8 million. Randy Bullock, 2-year, $4 million. And Kevin Huber, 2-year, $5.5 million. You're gonna bring back Carl Lawson. This one is gonna cost you a decent amount of money. 2-year, $18 million. Again, that's a $9 million cap hit. This is somebody that you're going to be paying big bucks to be a pretty solid player on this team. And I think Carl Lawson can do that for you guys. Then the two signings, not re-signings, but signings. Matt Skura from the Baltimore Ravens on a 1-year, $10 million deal. This guy is going to be more of a prove-it year for him, prove-it deal. He's a center, has a problem snapping the ball, but he's a really good guard. I think he only let up 1 sack in like 634 snaps or something along those lines. So again, 1 year, $10 million. See if he can play the guard position, which he probably can do at a high level. And Corey Linsley from the Green Bay Packers, 3-year, $33 million deal. Big butts going into the offensive line this offseason. That would make it a $45.3 million total cost or cap hit for you guys this upcoming season, which would allow you guys to be at an estimated remaining cap of $4.45 million. So again, you're spending a lot of your money, and I mean, this means that you want to compete this year. Your team needs, let's see what you're seeding here. Let's see what you are officially helping here. I'm sorry about that. So this is what we're going to see. We're going to see your team needs, your wide receiver is going to draft. I mean, you're going to have to draft a wide receiver. You have to draft a tight end. You're going to sign Corey Linsley at the center position, who's going to be a solid piece for this team for years to come. Your guard, you're going to sign Matt Skura. Your offensive tackle, you're probably going to draft Penny Sewell if he's still there. I think he will be for you guys. You're re-signing Carl Lawson at DN. You're going to draft a weak side linebacker. You're re-signing Josh Bynes as your middle linebacker for now. Again, he's going to be probably a placeholder. You're going to draft a strong linebacker. And your cornerbacks, you're re-signing William Jackson and Mackenzie Alexander. This is a really, really good offseason for the Cincinnati Bengals. Mike, do you have anything to say?
Yeah. I think this would be a good offseason for the Bengals because they got to commit to their guy and they got to protect Joe Burrow. We saw what happened this year. But another thing I would not be surprised if happened if a big-name receiver in free agency wants to play with Joe Burrow. Because we see receivers who play for lousy quarterbacks and lousy teams for a lot of their career. They want to go play for a young quarterback who they think has a bright future and can win. Just a name I'm going to put out there. If something doesn't go down, Carl Lawson doesn't come back or something along those lines, a Corey Davis. We could see a Corey Davis come to Cincinnati. I think would be a great fit for the Bengals. That is being if stuff does not go as planned. You never know who's going to have interest.
Absolutely. All right, let's go into the next slide now. Mike, you're going to be talking about the NFL draft picks. Go ahead.
So here's their draft picks. In the first round, they got the 5th pick. In the second round, they got the 38th overall pick. In the third, they got the 69th overall pick. In the fourth, they got the 101st pick. In the fifth, they got the 132nd. In the sixth, the 165th. And then in the seventh, they got 2 picks. They got the 195th and the 199th. And then, of course, go over here to the team needs. Wide receivers, we know they need receivers. They're going to lose A.J. Green. John Ross is not going to be on the roster. Tight end, we know they need a tight end, especially if they go and make the cut. Offensive tackle, we're expecting them to draft Penny Sewell. That'd be a great fit for the Bengals because they need to protect Joe Burrow's blind side. Why not use that pick, draft the best tackle we've seen over the past few years to protect Joe Burrow's blind side? And they need a weak side linebacker, they need a strong side linebacker, and they need a defensive tackle. Now, there are multiple needs for this team. This team, let's just look at it how it is. Joe Burrow might not be 100% to start the season. He might not even start the season. So this team is not in a great position to win football games right now. So that's why they got to go out and they got to draft good young talent to be ready to win over the next 3 years. And I think it's important. This draft is very important for them. And I think it's important for Zac Taylor's job also.
Absolutely. I would agree with you on that. And again, the reason why we're saying draft defensive tackle here is because we're cutting in our mock free agency here. or mock off season, we're cutting Geno Atkins, which is going to save you money. You still got DJ Reader, but again, you might want to establish a defensive tackle in the draft. Let's go on to the next slide where Jackson will sum things up for us. Here's what we got as the new Cincinnati Bengals team. Jackson explained the colors and all that stuff.
Okay, so the big name that I want to point out here is left tackle Penny Sewell. He's going to go in there. He's going to make an immediate impact for this offensive line. And again, also speaking of the offensive line, Corey Linsley, Matt Skura, going to make big difference. Last year, one of the worst offensive lines in the league, which most likely caused Joe Burrow to get hurt. And again, with drafting Penny Sewell, we're going to slide over Jonah Williams to right tackle. And on the defensive side of the ball, we made some re-signings. Mackenzie Alexander and William Jackson III playing cornerback. We re-signed Carl Lawson on a 2-year deal, pair him up with Sam Hubbard off the edge, and Josh Bynes filling that middle linebacker need. And also remember, we said we were going to draft a receiver, we're going to draft a tight end, and draft a D tackle, a weak side linebacker, and a strong side linebacker. So Keandre Jones, Jermaine Pratt, Xavier Williams, Drew Sample, and Auden Tate, those guys are going to be placeholders right now for whoever that team or whoever the Bengals pick up in the draft.
Absolutely. Jackson just summed it up pretty nicely there. Again, the green guys are the guys that we're signing, right? Guys that aren't currently on the team. The blue is the rookie draft, right? We only got one projected right now, but we're saying again, you're going to probably get a wide receiver, tight end, defensive tackle, weak side linebacker, strong side linebacker, like Jackson said. The orange are re-signings that we're making, right? Carl Lawson, Mackenzie Alexander, Josh Bynes, and William Jackson III. And the yellow are the placeholders. One placeholder that's not really a placeholder, in my opinion, is Auden Tate. I feel like he could very well be a solid receiver for this team. He's another jump ball guy, and I feel like Zac Taylor loves his jump ball receivers. He had A.J. Green last year. He drafted T. Higgins, who's also a jump ball receiver, and Auden Tate was another one. So I wouldn't be surprised if Auden Tate stays here or is at least a solid receiver on this team. Again, make sure they can still go out and get somebody, but Auden Tate is a solid option there as well. Again, Corey Linsley, Matt Skura will definitely help lock up that line with Penny Sewell, who is probably the best offensive tackle prospect we've seen in the last decade. You move Jonah Williams to right tackle. Not an easy move at all, but again, it's probably going to have to happen. Mike, do you have anything to say?
The one thing I will say is going from left tackle to right tackle is like writing with a different hand. It is not an easy move at all.
Absolutely, I would agree with you. One of the hardest things to do. A lot of people play Madden and they think it's easy. That's one of the hardest moves to do in the entire NFL.
Tackle to tackle is extremely, extremely hard to do.
I agree. Jackson, anything else?
Got nothing, Nick.
All right, that's all. Again, what do you guys think you're going to do with our mock free agency? You're left with $4.45 million. That's not a lot, but again, you're making a lot of moves. Look at all the orange and green. That's the signings you're making this offseason. Let me know what you guys think. Comment your opinion on the comment section below, what you would do, and let us know what you guys think. Until next time, we'll see you guys soon. Peace. Mike, we are
Built better.
See you guys soon. Peace.